The city of Ekurhuleni still without a mayor this morning. This is after stalled negotiations between the ANC and the EFF yesterday, which forced a postponement of the council sitting, which was meant to elect a new mayor. Now, the meeting adjourned without choosing a mayor after the removal of the DA's Tania Campbell last week. Now, the ANC's Mzwandile Masina was expected to make a comeback, but he withdrew from the race to make way for the EFF's Nkululeko Dunga to be elected as mayor. However, the minority parties in Ekurhuleni say they want the ANC to govern the city.
At this moment, it's quite clear that our support as I think these 7 minority parties is behind the ANC. However, if you look at the numbers, ANC can't govern alone, which actually give the assignment to the ANC then to negotiate with other parties that can, make up the number. It is unfortunate that during those negotiations, agreements couldn't be reached. So it is quite clear, because even when we are still on the opposition benches, we were with the ANC.
Well, let's take this conversation further now, and I'm joined by political analyst Matlala Setlhalogile, who talks to us via the virtual platform. Good morning to you, Matlala. Let's start with the issue of governance stability. How worried should Ekurhuleni residents be at this time?
Morning, Tole, and morning to your viewers. In terms of government stability, Tole, I think as early as 2016, we started noticing a trend of political fragmentation, especially at the local government level. This political fragmentation was brought on by a flurry of regional parties that tend to contest the local government election. It is not only an issue that concerns Ekurhuleni, but rather an issue that pervades beyond the borders of Ekurhuleni. You'd realize that most of the metros are governed through coalition governments. And in terms of the consequence of that political fragmentation, we are going to see a lot of instability in terms of governments, instability in terms of policy decisions. There's going to be a lot of policy paralysis. And this is going to lead to less than optimal service delivery for those affected municipalities across the country, especially when we have witnessed a spike in hung municipalities in 2021 compared to 2016.
I want to pick up on the service delivery point you are making, that is likely to suffer if indeed governance instability does set in. The ANC and the EFF are now negotiating, and this, it would appear, has been happening for months, but it's official, as confirmed by Panyaza Lesufi yesterday, who leads the ANC in Gauteng. The question here is, both parties stand to lose credibility and confidence with the voters if whatever governance agreement they come to, if it does come to pass, does not translate to service delivery on the ground. Am I wrong?
Well, Toli, the ANC has already lost credits with the voters. Let's take Ekurhuleni as a case in point. Between 2011 and 2021, the ANC in Ekurhuleni has lost 39 council seats. That's quite a steep decline. I remember, I think about a month or so ago, the provincial spokesperson of the ANC indicated that voters want the ANC to govern. The electoral outcomes suggest otherwise, especially given the fact that from 2016 to 2021, the ANC declined from about 109 council seats to about 86. That was quite a steep decline for the ANC. That indicates a loss of credibility in terms of how the voters perceive the governing party. In terms of the EFF is not necessarily a governing party and has not governed anywhere. It is yet to showcase its governing capabilities. The ANC stands more to lose in this instance. And then again, to touch on the issue of governance stability, we have seen in the past where budgets in Gauteng metros took time to be passed. You'd remember that no service delivery can take place without the budget being passed, especially given that the service delivery budget implementation plan is a legislative requirement. So the delay in passing budgets actually results in delays in the provision of services at local government level. So without any political heads, the implementation of the programs that are contained in the service delivery budget implementation plan are likely to be delayed, meaning that service provision to residents of Gauteng, or rather of Ekurhuleni, will take a knock.
There's also talk that this deadlock in Ekurhuleni may have pitted the ANC region, these are the leaders of the ANC in Ekurhuleni, against their principal who sit at provincial level. That talks to you, or I suppose that highlights to us the headache that the ANC is dealing with as it tries to negotiate with the EFF here. What do you think the key issues are when it comes to the ANC negotiating amongst themselves?
I think the tabling of the motion was quite a haphazard act. It was ill thought by the Ekurhuleni ANC. You'd remember that once that motion was tabled, the economic freedom fighters released a statement saying that they are not aware of the reasons that would compel the ANC to table such a motion. They have not been engaged in terms of tabling that motion, and they will await for the ANC to engage them if needs be. So the tabling of the motion in itself was not necessarily strategic. Hence, a mayor is ousted, but there's no formal position in terms of who would take the reins in Ekurhuleni. The ANC needs other coalition partners. It can't govern on its own, but clearly it had not engaged any potential coalition partners in Ekurhuleni. And I think a critical question here, Ekoli, is that does the ANC want power for the sake of wanting power? Or rather, does the ANC want to ensure that the residents of Ekurhuleni are serviced, or rather receive proper basic proper provision of basic services in that municipality? Why can't the ANC take a backseat and regroup and self-reflect and self-introspect? I mean, the decline in the electoral outcomes suggests that maybe it's time for the ANC to self-introspect. But it seems as an obsession within the party to always have the governance reign.
Matlala, I desperately want to let you go, but you've just opened yourself up to another question now, and that is that the voters, if whatever is being negotiated between the ANC and the EFF, as we suggested earlier, if it does not amount to real service delivery on the ground, who are the voters going to remember, and remember for failing them when the next election does come about? Simply put, who will they punish most between the ANC and the EFF?
The funny bit is that even though we might have a coalition government, actually we will have a coalition government in Ekurhuleni. Historical trends have shown that in coalition governments, it is usually the parties with the bigger chunks and parties that have historically led that tend to be punished by the voters. And I would assume that nothing different will happen this time. Remember that Ekurhuleni, the last tenure, 2016 to 2021, was led by the ANC, although through a coalition government. The ANC took the biggest knock. So nothing new is expected. The ANC is likely to be on the receiving end of the voter dissatisfaction.
Matlala Setlhalogile, let me thank you very much for your time and indeed your analysis of what we are seeing at local government level, at least in the province of Gauteng. We shall see how these talks end.